Welcome to Family Twist, a podcast about relatively unusual stories of long-lost families, adoption, and lots of drama. I'm Corey.
And I'm Kendall, and we've been partners for over 16 years.
Hi, it's Corey. Kendall is taking a little time away for his birthday, and he's hanging out with his sister Stephanie. In the meantime, we've been planning some really awesome guests for upcoming episodes, as well as continuing to tell Kendall's story. Today is a bonus episode, and it is not a current interview. It goes back a few years, but I started my career as an entertainment journalist, and when the opportunity arises to interview a legend, I jumped at it. So today's conversation is with the incomparable Carol Channing. Now, Carol revealed some family twists of her own in her autobiography, which leads to the twist we talk about in this interview. Carol and her middle school sweetheart were able to reunite after Carol wrote about him in her autobiography and he tracked her down. And 70 years later, they got married. It's an amazing story, and, well, I'll let them get to that.
Hello?
Hello, is this Dr. Channing?
Oh, Dr. Channing, I like that. Yes. Is this Corey?
This is Corey.
Yes, hello, Corey. I'm expecting your yes.
How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm fine.
So how's this chilly California weather treating you today?
Oh, it's beautiful here. You see, it's cold, all right, but there's snow on the top of the mountains all around the valley, the Coachella Valley.
Yes.
Oh, it's gorgeous. The dogs bark at it because it's so beautiful. It's just gorgeous. Oh, I knew you're all very cold.
Well, actually, I'm in California as well. I'm in the San Francisco area.
Oh, yeah, well, we were raised there.
Yes.
Yes, 2 weeks after I was born, we came to San Francisco.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I did want to thank you very much for the work that you do in arts and education, because I know without those programs in public schools that I would not be the person I am today. So I know how important they are.
Ah, thank you. I'm glad that happened to you, too. It happened to both my husband and me.
The theater programs, the fine arts, I think that they're definitely essential to helping, make people fully, very well-rounded individuals. Absolutely.
Oh, now how long have you lived in San Francisco?
Just about a year.
Oh, that's all. Well, I got to grow up there, and so did my husband, Harry. And we grew up there, and it was a metropolitan art colony. And everything came to San Francisco because it had a guaranteed audience.
Right, exactly.
Yes, and Saul Hurok. I mean, you couldn't do that in Wichita.
Right.
But he brought everything from Europe. Yaeshi Nomura from Japan, Japan's greatest entertainer. Oh, Anya Enters from Paris, because he knew he would sell out in San Francisco.
Right, exactly.
And I got to see every one of them growing up because I had a 50 cents a week allowance.
You got to see some pretty amazing things, I would imagine.
Oh, I got wonderful dance pantomime things, and I was able to hear Marian Anderson sing.
Wow.
in our old opera house, and but we had an opera house that we were very proud of, but they built a new one, and it's gorgeous. And I was the second one in it. They had a contest for children, what American citizenship means to me. And I won it, and the prize was a trip to Honolulu for anyone you wanted to bring with you. And I just turned 16 years old, and I took my mother. And we had a wonderful trip.
Oh, wow. I bet that was fantastic. As important as arts are in the schools today, what are some things that just regular folk like me, what can I do, or what can people do to get involved?
Oh, thank you. You see, arts did something to Harry and me when we were up. I met Harry when I was 12 and he was 13.
Okay.
I thought he looked biblical. I thought he looked like Moses sitting on Mount Sinai eating a fig. You know what I mean?
Right.
That wonderful big biblical look. Oh, well, he's still that way. And then after 70 years of separation, I think it was 70, it may have been more, we got married.
Wow.
So I was busy in New York and on the stage 65 to 70 years in the live theater with very little time off.
Right.
He had a beautiful 65-year marriage, and I had a miserable 42-year marriage. And we picked up right from where we left off because we fell in love with the arts in public schools during the Great Depression.
Wow.
It was the Depression. I wondered, how do we always have gas for the car? Harry he organized a band that became a school band for dances and things.
Right.
And he organized it, and music was his, and we discovered poetry together, but he used to book us on weekends for political rallies. That's the only people that had any money at all. And I thought, how can we always have gas for the car when people don't even have a car to put gas in? They had nothing. People were coming to my parents' home, and my mother was feeding families, and they'd say, do you have any milk for my children? And there were the children with the father. Oh, it was just, that depression was devastating.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Harry was able to book us and pay us. I think he paid 50 cents to each one. And I don't know what he paid, the rest paid the band, and it was called Harry's Five, and I was his vocalist. This isn't about the arts, but anyway, we discovered poetry together, and I just got through talking to the Board of Education about the real representatives of the Board of Education. It was the executives of it, and we were able to recommend what happened to us. They kept the arts going in Aptos Junior High School in San Francisco. But poetry was what we suddenly went crazy about. He went crazy about Edgar Allan Poe. I went crazy about Milton Keats and Shelley and all that.
Sure.
We were thrilled to go to school, and our grades went up. And because of that, oddly enough, it expands your brain in science, history, English, math, and things that do not have anything you wouldn't think they had anything to do with the arts. But the arts opened us both up, and Harry got the all-round medal for the best scholar and the best athlete.
Wow.
And he was the center on the soccer team, and he was, anyway. But it was just, and I got the next year, a year later, because I was 1 year younger than he was, I still am. But the next year, I won the same medal, the best all-round student, and I taught the children how to dance.
Wow.
And I got the same medal. They have it on exhibit now. They have them on exhibit at Aptos Junior High. It's a big silver disc, and it says, best all-round student. We didn't expect it. Harry didn't. Well, he got it. I saw him get the medal.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, so because it meant so much to us and it expanded our brain. See, what people don't know is the arts are like fertilizer on the human brain.
Right.
And they don't realize it and they don't believe it, but it is.
Absolutely.
And we experienced it.
Absolutely.
And now what we do is we went to the educational system of California just a week ago about. That was a privilege that they wanted us to come and explain, what the heck are you doing here? And what are you doing to the whole educational system? And we're rocking it, really, Corey. It's wonderful. And we said we want you to end the removal of arts in the public schools of California. And we told them we want you to replace and provide arts not for those school districts and individual schools within that district who suffer the most from poverty and severe social problems. Boy, that's what we want. Get it to the one. See, private schools always have arts.
Right.
They have the money to pay the art teachers. They fired all the art teachers in public schools. Fired every one of them. And the result is these children come into kindergarten, the teachers told me, eager to learn, and slowly they watch their little brains disintegrate.
Right.
Because it's nothing but the 3 R's. We wanted them to provide a resolution that declares its support for the arts as an academic necessity for a full and adequate education for California public schools. It has to be, it's a necessity.
Right.
It's absolutely important. So we did. Harry got brand new musical instruments sent to a little place in California called Nowhere, California, a population 75. They're mostly Hispanic, and he got new instruments. They came and played them for us. They played what they learned about. We heard them opening the packages. Somebody left the telephone right there in the middle of them. It was thrilling. And they said, "What's this?" "Well, this is an oboe." And they were talking. And then they lined up and said, "Thank you," to the telephone. And we heard them play, and they played. And Harry took them to his sister's house, where his sister's husband is a farmer in the San Joaquin Valley. And it's boy, that's a big man. And they gave them lunch and everything, and they played, and you know what they played? Hello, Dolly. I just almost cried. They played it on tune, and these brand new. If the instruments aren't brand new, they're not as good. They're more difficult to play.
Right.
And then we told them, you can't leave out the arts and say it's a complete education, and the Constitution says they have a right to it.
Absolutely.
They have Yes, well, you agree. That's wonderful. And then we told them it's up to you to grant them the arts and to grant them the tools for the arts. They got those things in Aptos in the middle of the terrible Depression. This is the next generation for the United States of America. And see, the whole thing is, we're not trying to save the arts, Harry and I. We're using the arts to save our children.
Right.
That's exactly what we're doing. And they believed us. But it's funny, the Board of Education, I could feel it. They're rather proud of themselves. And they realize, no, then we have no right to be proud of ourselves. We're giving them a lopsided education.
Exactly.
And that was the way the Holy Roman, just before the fall of the Holy Roman Empire, the heck with the Sistine Chapel, the heck with the arts, and they were the arts of the world. But every great empire was like that. They held the arts high in estimation, and they thought, no, let's get into debauchery and temporary pleasures and all that stuff. And they did, and that was the end of the Holy Roman Empire.
Right. Exactly.
And there was one group that asked me to come and talk to them, Job Corps. And they were every color of the rainbow, and they were all dropouts from public schools. And they scared me to death. They looked so tough. Really, Corey. And I talked to them, and I said, Harry, what the heck can I say to them? I mean, I'm scared to death of these kids. He said, you tell them your experience. So I did. And I told them how the arts helped me. Really, it was thrilling. Do you know what happened? They said to them, what did you always want to do, to one student? He said, I don't know, as a child, I wanted to be an engineer. I thought that was kind of thrilling. They said, we'll get you the best engineering teacher, and the guy's an engineer today.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And he's thrilled with it. And the girls who are pregnant or on drugs or something, they went back to school. And they have a nursery at the school. They went back to school. I couldn't believe it. I just told them the truth, what happened to us. Because of being exposed to Milton Keats and Shelley and sweet, sweet, sweet Open and Pierce. And then I told the Board of Education just the truth, what meant so much to me. Oh, what of the wing? This is Edna St. Vincent Malloy. What of the wing that yearns to soar, the feet that plead to dance? Shall not a heart hope long and more to master circumstance? And that I remember, it was, my father happened to write that in the front of a book that he gave me about teaching. And I thought, gee, that's it exactly. What of the wing that yearns to soar? And they won't let them soar. The feet that plead to dance, they cut off their feet. They can't dance now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
None of that. And that's what they did. And they all sat there and said, my gosh, it's true. These are the heads of the Board of Education. It's true, and it is true. Somebody wrote a song for me. I just keep talking. Shut me up when you
You're
go off
fine.
track.
You're fine. It's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. There's a truck driver in Modesto, California, where Harry was on the city council, and John Wyatt, and he was a truck driver, and I harangued him so about this art subject. Do you realize that we're going down the drain, just like every great empire, the Greek Empire? When they get into debauchery and they get into pregnancies and they get into drugs and all that stuff, it's because they're bored stiff with the 3 R's. And not everybody is, but those that some people naturally cotton to. But I can see where fathers get. Anyway, he wrote a song for me, and by the time he got to San Jose, the thing was written because I kept haranguing him with this. Can I sing the song for you?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I'll sing it a cappella.
Okay.
All right? Okay. The show must go. I sang this to the Board of Education. The show must go on. Make sure the marquee's lit. The show must go on. Don't let the spotlight sit. The future's at stake. Our schools now implore us. Just give kids the chance, and you'll see one day their skills will advance. Move over, make way. The arts must keep their place in education. The show must go on. Come on and board the bus, the show must go on. The children count on us, the curtain must rise. So strike up the chorus. Yes, it's a fact you'll find. The arts expand the mind. In science, history, English, math, biology, zoology, and even sociology, psychology, mythology, and also genealogy. Pomposity, verbosity, I'm losing my velocity, but let's keep the arts alive. Let's keep young hearts alive, because the show must go on. And that's what I sang to the Board of Education.
Wow.
And you know they swallowed it.
That's fantastic. That was wonderful.
Yes, it was wonderful. And they all said, my gosh, they didn't really realize that the arts, you see, this is the whole thing. They fertilize the brain.
Absolutely.
The arts do. On every student. And I can understand fathers who say, look, son, you got to support your family. I want you to be able to support your wife and children. So just take 3 R's and business course. And they're not the ones who get the jobs.
Right. Exactly.
When they graduate from college, they don't get the jobs. It's the ones that were exposed to the arts. They can meet people. They can talk to them. They're thrilled with their education.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And the poor guys, there was fathers thought that's all they needed. I can see how they thought that. But I talked to, well, he happens to be Sophie Tucker's nephew, but he's the head of the Nevada State Board of Regents, and that's the education board. And he said, do you know they're not the ones who get the jobs? They concentrate on just the 3 R's and a business course, and they don't get the jobs. And that's a tragedy.
It is. It is. I think the arts definitely help you make a more well-rounded individual, for sure.
Yes, and the Constitution says they have to have. It's their privilege.
Right.
It's not. Yep. It's every child's privilege. And so what we're working for is once that you see, California's bankrupt, as you know.
Right.
But boy, these teachers are willing to work for any amount because they just cry over what they see with the disintegration of their brains in kindergarten.
Absolutely. The people that I stay in touch with a lot of the people I was at school with, and I was very involved in the theater. And the people they're working in all aspects of American society. They're teachers. They're in politics. They're doing everything. It's fantastic, though.
Yes, but you do because you're in the arts.
Yes, okay. Well, I definitely want to make sure we talk about your new CD as well, which I had a chance to listen to, and it's a really nice collection of old classic songs. How did that come to be?
Oh, it came to be because my father was born in Augusta, Georgia, and he grew up hearing spirituals from the neighborhood right near him, and he grew and he taught me these gospel songs. He taught me these songs. Oh, they're beautiful, and he used to harmonize them. And I grew up now there. I skipped the second half of the first grade, and I skipped the first half of the second grade, and I couldn't understand why. I mean, I'm not one of those bright kids that can answer right up, like they can. I didn't do that, and I thought, why? And I asked the teachers. They said because you catch on to everything much quicker than the other students. That's what the arts do for you. The singing with my father.
Exactly.
And so I got to sing these gospel songs in Modesto with this truck driver who makes records, the same one, John Wyatt, and a guy that's got the machinery for doing it. We did it, and a man came along and said, "Hey, I'm going to put that on in Nashville."
Wow.
And he did, and there are wonderful songs on it. Oh, they are gone. See, my father. Well, here I am, almost 90, and my father died. So this is like 200 years ago, gospel song.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm privileged to have them in my head, and I love them. And we would get in the car and drive all the way to Boston from San Francisco, and my mother was in the back seat. She said that was the happiest times in her life. We were singing away. Daddy was driving, and that's what I hear his voice harmonizing with me all the time I'm doing it.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes, and it's just beautiful. I mean, to me, it's beautiful. Now, I don't know. We'll see if it's beautiful to anyone else.
Well, how did you decide on which songs to include then?
I just took them all.
Oh, okay.
I did everything my father taught me. I just took every one of them. Oh, there are wonderful ones. Mama, send me a letter. Papa, send me a stamp. Says, hon, won't you please come back home? I hung my jawbone upon the fence. I ain't never seen my jawbone since. Oh, my lordy me, I ain't got a friend in this world. And that was what the milkman sang from what he learned in church. And he sang it, he would go from house to house, and it would take him just so long to get to the next house, Daddy told me.
Wow.
And isn't that a wonderful song?
That's great. That's really great.
Oh, I love it. And he taught me all that. Just all kinds of things that and I hear his voice harmonizing.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
So I asked in the gospel thing, I said, did you hear my father's voice harmonizing with me on that song? Well, I did. Then we go on to the next one.
That's wonderful.
It's just mine. It may not interest anybody else, but it's a piece of American history.
I wonder, do you think gentlemen still prefer blondes?
Yeah, gentlemen prefer blondes.
Well, I have to say that Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, that's one of my favorites. That's just a classic song. I think it's just, I can't imagine anyone else but you singing that.
Oh, thank you. But that was from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yes. And we did that there. And then I played we played with Sugar Babies, played St. Louis. I love Sugar Babies. It's just one of my favorite shows. I got to do it for the tour, the grand tour.
Right, yeah.
In New York, it was Mickey Rooney and Ann Miller. And little Ann used to come and help me to learn her steps and things. But I toured it with Bobby Morse, who was a wonderful actor. Yeah. And we toured it. We came to St. Louis, and we played the music set. 7,000 people at home.
Yeah, the outdoor theater, the Muni. Yeah.
The Muni. Yes. That's it. And boy, the people were having picnics way up on the green, on the grass, up on the hill.
Oh, yes.
And they could hear. You know, that's the easiest theater to play I ever ran into.
Really?
They've got, yes, because the focus is right on the stage. The lights are terrific. They've got these headlines, the lights. I mean, they've got great hue, and the sound is wonderful.
Yes.
And they all hear every syllable.
Exactly, yeah.
And I can feel it. The audience, I can hear them up on the hill there. They're laughing or crying or whatever they're supposed to do. And it's my favorite. Really, I don't know. There's another favorite. There's one outside Washington, D.C. that's outdoors. But they gave us every advantage. The sound, the lights, the it's a great theater.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I think, you mentioned Hello Dolly, and I know that was performed in St. Louis as well, and that's just astounding that the amount of times that you performed that show. It's just a fantastic show.
Yes, I love St. Louis playing there.
Do you have is there a favorite line that stands out from Hello Dolly, since you've done it so many times, that you just love?
A favorite line?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'll tell you what it is. Dolly, before she sings Hello Dolly, I'm very proud. I went to Bennington College, and there they taught the arts, major arts, and kind of ignored everything else.
Right.
Which is also wrong. You've got to have everything, a complete education. But I got a wonderful education in the arts, and it's Stanislavski and Boleslavsky discovered how to find the spine of every play. And if a playwright, very often the playwright himself doesn't know what it is, but if he writes honestly, there is a spine, like the spine of Joan of Arc, St. Joan. George Bernard Shaw wrote St. Joan, and he didn't know the spine, but there is a spine. To burn Joan at the stake. Well, now I'm off onto, but the spine of Hello Dolly is to rejoin the human race. It has to be a verb, because it's an action verb.
Right.
And so it's to rejoin the human race. Cornelius and Barnaby are stuck in that basement, and they want to get out, go to the big city out there. Anyway, they sing that, and they want to go to New York and rejoin the human race. And Mrs. Malloy, who owns the millinery shop, she's widowed, and she wants to rejoin the human race. She hates hats, and she wants to rejoin the human race. And Dolly herself wants to. She's widowed. She's frightened. Underneath all the thrilling dancing and the funny lines, it's a comedy, really.
Yeah.
Thornton Wilder was one of our 6 greatest playwrights, the government proclaimed him. And our government. And he wants to rejoin Dolly wants to. She at night, her last soliloquy. I found it buried in her last soliloquy, in her final speech. Every night she talks to her dead husband,
Yes.
Ephraim, and she says, "Ephraim, I want to rejoin the human race, and Ephraim, I want you to give me away at the wedding." And and then comes the Hello Dolly number.
Right.
Of course, I'm still in love with Hello Dolly. I can't help it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's been such a fantastic show. Yeah, I actually, that was one of the shows I performed when I was doing theater. Was Hello Dolly.
Then did you know that the spine the spine concludes every character in it. It grabs it. They do the beats and actions that lead to the spine. Every character in it, including Dolly, is trying to rejoin the human race. Cornelius and Barnaby. What did you play?
I was just part of the ensemble.
Oh, I see. Well, that's all right. The ensemble sings a lot of the plot.
That's right.
Jerry Herman. But I found it. I'm so proud.
That is. I had never thought about it that way before.
Yes, that's what everybody in it is trying to rejoin the human race.
Even Horace, even though he doesn't realize it probably until the end.
Horace Vandergelder is there. Of course he is. He fights. He says, I was the meanest and therefore the most hated hated man in Yonkers.
Yes.
And he was proud of that. The meanest man in Yonkers. Oh boy, it shows you how rich he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he wants to rejoin the human race, and he marries Dolly, and you know he's going to be the mayor of the town with Dolly behind him.
Exactly.
Yes, he'll have nothing but friends.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah, I'm glad you played it, because that's how you find the spine. Gather all their beats and actions together in each scene, everybody, including the main character, and then you get the spine.
Exactly.
I have to tell you that Konstantin Stanislavski and Richard Boleslavsky found this method of finding the main action of the spine of every play. And if he writes honestly, if the playwright writes honestly, if he doesn't write honestly, and very often the playwright doesn't know it himself.
Right.
But I asked Thornton Wilder, he was alive at the time, did you know this is the spine? And he thought about it quite a while, and he says, yeah, that is the spine. And he really thought about it. It's thrilling to find it.
I'm sure. That's fantastic. I had never really thought about it that way, and that's very interesting.
It is interesting, I know. So I told Gower Champion, and he said, well, I was just thinking that that's what it was, because Gower doesn't want anybody to find anything that he doesn't find first. But anyway, that's all right, I told him. and that's what created the great Hello Dolly number.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, that was the spine behind it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, well, your version of that also of Hello Dolly is probably, it stands the test of time for sure.
Oh, thank you. Well, you never know. Marilyn Monroe is much prettier and all that. You know, that's probably more box office. I don't know. No, we had the biggest box office ever.
Exactly.
Yes, they were charging $500 a seat from the scalpers. It made Mr. Merrick mad, our producer.
Oh, I bet.
Because he said, those darn scalpers are getting all the money.
Yes.
Oh, but he was a great producer. Oh, I just worship him.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
Well, now, some people say that, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but what was your reaction the first time you saw somebody imitating you on stage or heard about it?
Oh, I don't know who they're doing. I just can't imagine who that person is.
Yeah.
And why are they all men?
I don't know.
You know, do I have a glandular imbalance of some kind that nobody wants to tell me about? What could it be? But anyway, they all do it, and it's with all the affection in the world that they do it, and I'm very grateful. Oh, but Lucy did me once. A pretty girl, and very feminine, did me once on her program.
Is that right?
Yes, she did it. I was proud of that. And, oh, she was wonderful. And she did it, and she sang Hello, Dolly, and everything. And the policeman comes into her at the end and says, I'm arresting you for disturbing the peace. And she says, Officer, I didn't mean any harm. And he said, harm? Look what you just did to Carol Channing. And that was the end of the show. It was very funny. I thought that was a very funny show. Of course, I loved it.
Of course.
Oh, it's an honor.
Did you get a chance to thank her for that?
You know, I never did. No. Oh, no, I never got to thank her.
Oh.
But I did know her as she was trying to put on a series with me after she and Desi were divorced. And she sent me a great big bottle of champagne, hoping it would go well. You know why it didn't go well? Desi was still so in love with Lucy.
Yeah.
He was so in love with her that he'd say, no, say it this way. No, say your punchline this way. Well, that's the way Lucy said it.
Right, exactly.
But that's not, and he didn't realize he was so in love with her that he couldn't take anybody else's character.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was directing me, and he just directed me to be another Lucy. Well, that's going to get you nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yes, it didn't work.
So after, I mean, you've performed on stage many a time, but is it still exciting for you when you walk out there on the boards? So what is that feeling right before you get on stage?
Helen Hayes, they called her the first lady of the theater.
Yes.
Maybe you don't know. Well, anyway, Helen Hayes said God made stage fright. God created it because it makes your brain work faster and deeper and more. You're absolutely, your brain is at its height after stage fright. And that's true. That's true. The more stage fright I got, the better the show was. I did shows when I had ovarian cancer, and the doctor would stand in the wings, and I think you reach to the heavens to get the show out, but you can't not be there. I never missed a show on the tours because I did it anyway, and gee, I sound like I'm bragging about myself. I never did feel that way. I just thought I was trying to come up to an impossible mission.
Right, exactly.
I never knew if I came up to it or not. But if the audience, they saved their hard-earned money, they got babysitters, they drove in from God knows how long, and they wanted to see the show. And then I'm not there. I can't do that. Right. So I got there every single performance, and I reached to the heavens to get the show out, and that's the show. It's your best performance.
Right. Exactly.
It always is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Helen Hayes said that to me. She said, "No, God made stage fright. That's your best performance, the one you can hardly get out."
Right. Wow. That's something. That's really something.
Yeah, there was a girl I worked with in Wonderful Town, and she played my sister. It was the basis of my sister Eileen, and Wonderful Town was, and she was my little sister, and she missed a performance, and I said, "Well, you missed your performance yesterday," and she said, "But I was sick. Didn't they tell you I was sick?" And I said, "But then you missed your best performance. You missed your own best performance." I tried to tell her, and she couldn't figure that one out.
That's a difficult lesson to learn sometimes.
Yeah, she didn't realize. Well, she wasn't carrying the show, so what the heck, she didn't have to learn it.
Right.
No, but that's the one that gets the Tony Award.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do you keep your Tonys?
Yeah, we've got them lined up here.
Oh, okay. Very
There
nice.
are about, let's see, 3 of them, and then more awards. But that doesn't interest me. It's the immediate performance. You've got to reach that audience.
Exactly.
They save their hard-earned money.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah, oh no, you got to do it. And but that's what kept it fresh, is sheer fright. That you wouldn't make it.
Right, exactly. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time to speak with me today.
Yes, Corey.
Well, thank you so much, and please thank Carrie for me as well. I really appreciate what you two are doing for the arts here in California.
Oh, thank you. It's a joy to talk to somebody that realizes the arts are so important. Most people don't that interview us.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully we can do what we can to spread the word.
Well, this interview is a joy for Harry and for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You have a pleasant day.
You bet. You too. And thank you, Corey.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
A kiss on the cheek may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Okay, apologies. I had to do my Carol impression in there somewhere. Thanks for checking out this episode. The last time I saw Carol was in San Francisco, and she was having a theater dedicated to her. And the theater kids that gathered to hear her speak and sing were just so enthralled with her, as was I. She was an amazing person, and it was truly an honor to spend some time with her. Thanks again for checking out this episode of The Family Twist, a bonus episode, and we'll be back very soon with new stories. See you soon.
This is the Family Twist podcast hosted by Kendall and Corey Stultz, with original music by Cosmic Afterthoughts, and produced by Outpost Productions and presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications. Have a story you want to share? Visit familytwistpodcast.com. All our social media links are there as well.